The factory floor in Detroit, Michigan, was unusually quiet. A massive automated machine that powered half the production line stood frozen, its digital panels flashing error codes no one could understand. Engineers moved back and forth, arguing in low voices, flipping through manuals and tablets. Every minute of silence meant thousands of dollars lost. Standing near the machine was Evelyn Carter, the company's CEO, a woman in her early 40s known for sharp decisions and sharper humor. Stress showed on her face as she watched another failed restart attempt. By morning, frustration had replaced confidence. The senior engineers admitted they were out of options. Evelyn exhaled slowly, trying to hide her panic behind sarcasm. Turning to the group of workers and technicians gathered nearby, she said half-jokingly, "If anyone can fix this machine today, I'll marry them." A few people laughed nervously, assuming it was just a way to ease the tension. No one stepped forward. No one except a quiet man standing near the back, covered in oil-stained work clothes. His name was Noah Brooks, a 35-year-old mechanic from a small independent repair shop down the road. He had been called in late the previous night as a last resort, more out of desperation than faith. Noah wasn't impressed by screens or titles. He had spent his life listening to machines, learning their patterns, their sounds, and their failures. While engineers focused on software diagnostics, Noah noticed the machine's uneven vibration and the faint grinding noise others ignored. Noah asked for time alone with the machine. Evelyn looked at him skeptically, her arms crossed, but she nodded. There was nothing left to lose. As the factory cleared, Noah climbed inside the massive structure, removing panels carefully. He pressed his palm against the metal, feeling the heat, the tension, the imbalance. Years of experience guided him as he traced the problem deeper, beyond the sensors and automated warnings, into the mechanical heart of the system. Hours passed. The factory remained silent. Evelyn watched from a distance through the glass wall, unsure whether to hope or prepare for failure. She realized how much she relied on experts' degrees and systems, and how little she trusted instinct. Noah finally emerged, sweat-streaked and exhausted, carrying a small, worn component in his hand. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He simply looked up at Evelyn and said quietly, "I think I know what's wrong." In that moment, the joke she had made felt suddenly irrelevant. Something far more serious was about to be tested. Noah returned inside the machine with a toolbox that looked almost too simple for something so complex. He explained nothing at first, only asking for the power to remain off. The engineers watched from a distance, skeptical and silent. Noah traced the internal structure slowly, discovering that years of high-speed automation had caused a tiny but critical mechanical shift. Sensors kept compensating, masking the real issue until the system finally collapsed. It wasn't a software failure at all. It was friction, pressure, and metal fatigue, old problems hidden inside modern technology. Using careful measurements and steady hands, Noah realigned the damaged section and reinforced it with a modified brace he crafted on the spot. Every movement was deliberate. Sweat dripped from his forehead as hours passed. Evelyn stood behind the safety glass, her confidence fatting into curiosity. She realized no one else had tried to understand the machine physically. Everyone trusted data. Noah trusted experience. When he finally climbed out, his clothes were darker with grease, and his hands shook slightly from exhaustion. Noah asked Evelyn to authorize a restart. The room grew tense as workers gathered, holding their breath. Evelyn hesitated for a fraction of a second, then nodded. Noah pressed the start button. At first, nothing happened. Then the machine hummed, slowly at first, then stronger, smoother. Conveyors began moving, screens cleared, the system stabilized perfectly. Applause broke out across the floor. Engineers stared in disbelief, some smiling, others stunned into silence. Millions in losses had just been avoided by a man no one had taken seriously. Evelyn walked toward Noah, her expression unreadable. Then she laughed softly, genuinely. "Looks like I made a dangerous joke," she said. Noah wiped his hands on a rag. "I wasn't here for that," he replied calmly. "I just fix things." Evelyn nodded, realizing the depth of his words. She offered him a permanent position, one that came with authority and respect. Noah accepted, but only after making one request, that practical knowledge be valued as much as credentials. Over the following weeks, Noah became an essential part of the company. He worked alongside engineers, not above them, not below them. Evelyn found herself seeking his opinion often, not just about machines, but about decisions. Conversations turned personal. She learned about his quiet life, his integrity, and how little recognition he had ever wanted. Noah saw past her title to the pressure she carried alone. What began as a joke turned into something honest and unexpected. The impossible wasn't just that Noah fixed a machine everyone else had given up on. It was that two people from completely different worlds learned to see each other clearly. Evelyn discovered that leadership wasn't about control but trust. Noah learned that sometimes being seen is as powerful as being skilled. And in a factory once defined by noise and urgency, something rare had started, built not on promises, but on respect, courage, and the quiet strength of doing what others couldn't. Months later, the factory ran smoother than it ever had. Downtime dropped, productivity rose, and the culture slowly changed. Engineers now worked side by side with mechanics, listening more than talking. Noah became known as the man who could solve problems no system could explain. Yet he remained the same, quiet, focused, uninterested in praise. Evelyn noticed how employees spoke more freely around him, how trust replaced fear. Watching this transformation, she realized the machine he fixed wasn't the most broken thing in that building. The company itself had needed repair. Late one evening, after another long day, Evelyn found Noah still in the factory, adjusting a minor issue no one had noticed. She thanked him, then hesitated. For the first time, she spoke honestly about the pressure of being a CEO, the loneliness behind decisions, and the fear of failure she hid behind confidence. Noah listened without interrupting. When she finished, he simply said, "Machines fail when stress builds up and no one releases it. People aren't much different." The words stayed with her long after he walked away. Their connection deepened naturally. No grand gestures, no dramatic moments, just quiet conversations, shared respect, and mutual understanding. Evelyn invited Noah to dinner one night not as a CEO, but as a woman curious about the man who had changed her world. He accepted cautiously. They talked about life, mistakes, and values. There was no imbalance between them, no wealth, no titles, just two people meeting honestly. Evelyn realized the joke she once made had been rooted in arrogance, but what followed was real. One afternoon, during a company-wide meeting, Evelyn publicly credited Noah, not as a hero, but as a reminder of what true expertise looks like. She announced a new program that valued hands-on experience alongside formal education. Applause filled the room. Noah felt uncomfortable but proud. Afterward, Evelyn pulled him aside and smiled. "I guess I owe you an apology," she said. "For the joke." Noah smiled back gently. "I think it fixed more than the machine," he replied. A year later, standing outside the factory where everything had begun, Evelyn and Noah looked at the building together. It no longer felt like a place of pressure, but of purpose. What started as disbelief turned into partnership, professional and personal. The impossible wasn't just repaired steel and moving parts. It was the breaking of assumptions, the rebuilding of trust, and the quiet truth that respect can change lives. Sometimes, the greatest transformations begin when someone is finally willing to listen to the one voice everyone else ignored.